Hey guys, welcome back. Tonight we are going to take a look at the 3D printed C3PO arm. This is version 1.5. And you can see it's a left arm. The previous video where I showed the full arm, it was a right arm. And technically, this piece is exactly the same. I mean, it is the same part from the previous video. I have not reprinted the forearm yet. I have reprinted the upper arm. I have printed a left and a right upper arm, so we can have a look here. Let me put this aside for a moment. We'll take a look. So a couple things I've done is I've altered this shape here. I'll show you a comparison between the old and the new in a moment. It'll be easier to see it on the right arm. I've moved down this piston slider a little bit. Now the new version needs to have this piston adjusted a hair, but the actual piston rods will be replaced with metal when they're done. As I mentioned in a previous video. So that'll be good because right now I can almost make the 90-degree bend, which is really good, really close. I can definitely straighten my arm completely if this doesn't snag. So that's an interesting new thing. This is not 3D printed, this is just a resin copy of one of my hand plates. I will be 3D modeling this week. I started to lay it out. I'm going to try to finish it and do full 3D printed hands that match the Force Awakens hands, which are quite a bit different. They're sort of laid out like the New Hope hands, but they resemble the Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi hands, but they have segmented fingers. I don't know if I like them yet. They're the way they're cut on the inside is real ugly. I'll get to that some other time. But anyway, we'll take this thing off so I can look here. Get this sleeve rolled down. So here's the arm. The forearm is getting redone this week. The previous version, as I mentioned, I basically cut it in half and just printed it as two pieces, two main pieces. All the little greebly bits were separate, but it was just the top and the bottom, and I Russian dolled them so they're stuck inside of each other and printed them together at the same time. The next version is going to be more pieces, so I will probably make this first ring segment and the second ring segment and the third ring segment will all kind of plug into that because it prints better that way. I don't have to have a support structure, which means I won't have to clean out all the little grooves here. And the same with this top piece, because with the first print, it printed a support structure all the way up to support this line here, which takes forever and uses way more filament than it needs to. So I'm printing this completely separate, and I'll basically just print the arm segments, two of the wrist segments, and the upper arm. Now, the upper arm is going to change slightly. Right now, it's got a slight taper to it because in a lot of photos, it looks like it tapers the same taper as the arm. It looks like the taper continues on. But now that I've got some better reference photos, just more reference photos. I think the reference photos I already had showed this, but I just missed it. This is actually a straight tube from this point here where it meets to the end would be a straight tube, and then they cut out the shape on the side. So that's going to be straightened out, and I think doing so is going to fix this shape here because from the profile, the shape I was using is pretty close. There's a little adjustment, but overall it's pretty close. But when you look at the profile and when you look at the front, the shapes don't quite match. I couldn't understand why that was, but now that I know this is a straight tube, that should fix this scoop here and make it a little more rounded, which will be good. That'll be a little more accurate. And another thing is that with this on, let me put this back on again. When I move my arm, bend it all the way up, it'll start to pinch right here when I get close to that 90 degree. So the Force Awakens suit has some kind of weird strip on the inside of the elbow, and I'm betting that's to prevent pinching there. I could be wrong, but that would be my guess because it does like to pinch right there. In the old suits, when it moves up, there's a little bit more gap right here. And again, I think that could be just from once this is fixed, so made more cylindrical instead of tapered, and then I recut it, it should open that up a hair more. So anyway, that's a look. Oh, and I did some priming and sanding to these, so they're quite a bit smoother. The upper arm almost looks like a fiberglass arm, and the lower arm is just about perfect, but I realized I was wasting a lot of time sanding something that I'm about to reprint anyway, so Alright, so this is the new forearm in the process of printing right now. You can see the narrowest part is in the center of the print. The middle part of the arm is here in the middle ring, and then the upper part of the forearm is down here around the bottom. And you can see it's got a little support structure, and then the where the bolts are going to go on the sides here. And this has been going most of the day. It has, let's see, hour and 1 minute left. So I'm gonna go to bed here in a minute, and this will be waiting for me in the morning when I wake up. I'll get the wrist printed, and then we'll throw this thing together and check it out, and we will see some differences. As you can see now, this part's straight. Made some adjustments, fixed a lot of the little piping detail, etc., etc. So we'll be back to look at that in the morning. Alright, so it looks like this thing is finished here. A couple little boogers on the inside, nothing big. There goes my dog, as per usual. Try to break these pieces loose. Check them out. Oh, there goes my phone making some kind of noise. There we go. Let's see if I can get this thing loose. Alright, so there's the top. You can see I made some these little keys here that will, if I did this right, they'll line up. There's a bottom. There's no keys here, so I just have to line this up by eye. Here's the top portion, and let's see, where's the front? This is the front here, so these little keys should line up inside there, if I did this right. And I may have to just tweak them, but you can see how the keys line up. I'm having trouble doing this with one hand, but anyway, so yeah, there's a look. I'll go assemble this thing, and then we'll take a look here. I'll get the I'll also get the wrist portion. You can see there's not on the arm, so I'll get that printing. All right, we're back. The forearm that I showed printing previously is now here. So this is the version 2 forearm on the version 2 bicep piece, and this is going to get really confusing because everything's going to be mismatched, because really soon there's going to be a version 3. This is still the previous version. So, God, this already sounds nuts. Anyway, yeah, version 2, version 2. Version 3 is getting ready to print now. It has those updates I talked about in the previous video. I have taken the other arm, which is the version 1 forearm, version 2 bicep, which is basically a perfect mirror of this one. So the upper arms and these guys match. The lower arms are a little bit different. Barely noticeable in person here, but maybe from the back you can see a little better. But this one had a little bit of taper to this piece here, to the upper forearm, and it turned out that was not right, so I removed the taper. It's almost unnoticeable to the lay person, but it's different. And a thing that I predicted about that in a previous video was that it was going to change this shape here, which it did. So now you get a nice 90-degree bend in the arm, which is very good, because C-3PO's proper pose, he bends his arm like this all the time, which I could never do with these old crappy fiberglass arms, because all of the piston points were fixed, and they just, that's the extent that they go. We'll take a look at this really quick. You can see how, see, they don't straighten out all the way. That's the straightest they'll go. And you can see how long this piston is compared to this one. And this one's accurate scale. This one's totally ridiculously wrong. See that? Get out of the way. So this is accurate. Way nicer, way better. I added the metal piston rods. Now these aren't fixed in place with anything. In the end, they're going to have a little groove along the side and a pin that goes through, just to make sure that they don't come undone. And that will be really nice. So that's a thing. And one thing I did on this new forearm is I fixed the cuff here. Now these don't have the knurling because these are the Force Awakens style. But since they print separately, I can print the whole arm, and basically this piece and the top piece will be the same, but it can have a different cuff with the knurling if I want to do classic trilogy style arms, which will be good. So the new one has a little bit of a taper, and the old one didn't. It's almost unnoticeable, but it's there. The size is basically the same. The upper part of the cuff where it meets the forearm is the same on both of these. And one thing that I did is on this new arm, I moved the main tapered tube up slightly, which opens up the inner circumference here just a little bit. And when you get into a costume like this where the tolerances are so tight, those little tiny increments make a big difference on just being able to put the suit on and off, and wearability. Like, a fraction of an inch can make a world of difference in wearing this. So that is a lot better. I also tapered the inside, so the inner diameter here is slightly larger, and it tapers back so that doing hand movements, it won't bind up as easily on the costume hands, which is going to be good. So anyway, this is another update. I had to show this really fast. I have 900 things to do, so I got to run out of here. Sorry if I'm a little scattered, but there it is. Update, left and right. Again, once I get this new upper done, I think that'll be pretty close to final version. I'll print a full set with this forearm and the new upper arms, and get them painted and good to go, so you can take a look at them all finished out. It should be pretty nice. So anyway, see you guys real soon with more of this nonsense. Have fun, guys. Bye.